I mean, there's just zero chance they don't make this into a film soon, right? What are we doing today? I'm glad you asked. What's up, guys? It's Pieman, and we are on another pretty unique fancast today. Normally, it's animated films or old films that could use a remake. Today, we're not only talking about a TV show, which I've never done before, we're talking about a documentary TV show, which I've definitely never done before, never even thought about doing. Tiger King, however, it's not just a documentary, it's definitely not a documentary about tigers, okay? If that's what you think it is, you're wrong and you should go watch it and see how wrong you are, okay? Joe Exotic has become a phenomenon, as has Carole Baskin, but for the other reason. And it's just happened overnight, and it's incredible. And now I feel like we're, moments away from hearing a film upcoming announced, even though we're in this weird situation where there are no new films. When it happens, it's going to be a comedy. It just is. I know there's a lot of tragic, horrible, real-life stuff that happened here. It's going to be a hilarious comedy film, and we're going to need a hilarious comedy cast, and there are a lot of people. So we're going to have to get through this real quick. Let's go. Oh, Joe. Joe Exotic, what can you say about him?
I saw Tiger, now I understand. I saw Tiger, Tiger saw me.
Yeah, he's interesting. It was partially seeing different fan castings for this guy online that made me think, maybe I gotta do a video on this. And I saw some different people. I saw David Spade, which was an interesting idea as the person who played Joe Dirt. Not really for me, though. I did see Michael Keaton up on stage, which is interesting. And I thought about him, but not so much for this role. I settled, interestingly, on Matthew McConaughey. I know, right? There is a lot to be said about casting somebody like David Spade who could just make Joe madcap. But I think while this is a madcap comedy waiting to happen, I don't think he's a madcap character. I think Joe is played straight-faced. Anyway, because he's like that in real life. He truly believes that he could have been president. He believes he could be a huge country star. He believes that he is just so lovable. And he is, but I don't know how to explain it. Carole fucking Baskin is our other main player in this, and the idea of this fan cast originated before I saw any castings for Joe, because I saw a casting for Carole, but it's a real one. Carole is being played by Kate McKinnon in an upcoming TV show, another one, and yes, okay, I'm not going to even try and fan cast it any better than that. Kate McKinnon should be Carole Baskin. She's the most hilarious comic actor, at least on the female side of the spectrum, in the world today, and I love her. And she's great at playing zany characters, and I think Carole should be played slightly more zany. She laughs every time she talks about murdering her husband. Every time she's like, that's so ridiculous. Doc Antle is another quite important role in this story, or at least in the documentary. He's not quite as important to the actual whole Joe Carole thing. He just talks about what was going on. He was on the outside of it. Carole wanted to shut him down as well, but Joe became her nemesis. So Doc was kind of not that important, but of course he's also not innocent, is he? Because he enslaves a bunch of virgins. What? Who said that? Enslave them? No. Anyway, he's another kind of top-level madcap, insane southerner, okay? And I feel like at some point we're going to put Danny McBride in this, so it may as well be for him, okay? Danny McBride is hilarious, and he's totally madcap, even when he's got a totally straight face, okay? That's just every role he's ever done, okay? He's insane. Jeff fucking Lowe is the other kind of really big role to talk about here. I was definitely more tempted to cast Michael Keaton in a role like this, but I couldn't, because I decided it's got to be Woody Harrelson. Yes, it does. Jeff is just this despicable guy who basically dresses like a bully in a 90s school film. Something like that, okay? He's ludicrous, okay? All of these people are. They're all just insane. I mean, don't you just want Woody Harrelson as that contemptuous, womanizing, cheating, self-interested prick? Not sorry, Jeff. Woody has played a lot of roles where he's this kind of opportunistic, thrifty bastard character, and he'd be fantastic at this. That's not a comment on Woody himself. I love Woody, but he's so good at making you hate him on screen. Well, those are the 4 biggest roles in this thing, so the rest of these, while they're also important for sure, I'm just going to kind of zoom through because there's so goddamn many of them, okay? So, let's talk about Carole Baskin. He's Carole's dog. I mean husband. I mean dog. He's fervently sure that she didn't kill her first husband, and I mean, in my mind, going to potentially marry a kind of might-be husband murderer, you just don't want to be the guy, okay? You just don't want to, the implication, it's there, that he could also be murdered. So you just don't want to take that chance, do you? But he did, and I think Stephen Merchant is the perfect guy to play off that he's so certain that his wife won't murder him. But he's a little bit not, you know? As for Joe's spouses, we've got 3 guys here. Yeah, damn, what a life he's led, enticing young men with heroin and tigers into marrying him. I mean, if I had that much heroin and tigers, I think I could probably get a few people to marry me. Maybe. I think Joe's husbands as well as Joe have to be kind of straight-faced. All the gay characters have to be straight-faced in their comedic style in this film, for me, okay? So I think Aaron Paul is the guy to do John Finlay because... Yeah, right. I think somebody straight-faced as well who can be really funny is Diego Luna, okay? He's done some great stuff lately. He's another one. Serious roles. It's not, I don't think Travis is a particularly madcap role. He is a bit insane, isn't he? I think that Dylan could be played by Gavin Leatherwood from Sabrina. I mean, yes, right? He's kind of got that probably straight thing about him, but he's just like pretty enough to make you think maybe he could be, okay? And he's young, and, you know, he's great. He's great in Sabrina. Now, Eric Goode is the man behind all of this. He's the documentarian who, I mean, he went to, like, visit a guy that had a snake that had just bought a tiger, and boom, bang, it led into this huge mess that followed. I think Luke Wilson could be great in this role. I'm kind of incredulous, wandering about going, what the hell is happening as he tries to film all of these people in this, which is their actual lives somehow. As for other people we need, the workers at the GW Zoo who lived through Joe, Carole, and Jeff's shenanigans and mostly came out the other side. First there's the manager of the zoo, John Rank. He's a bit older and I think he'd be kind of slightly less straight-faced about all this. I think Bryan Cranston should play him, okay? Because he's a wonderful comedic actor and him watching and kind of being interviewed throughout, watching these guys all go through it, he'd be so funny. It'd be so funny, because it's funny watching John's scenes in the documentaries kind of going like, oh dear lord, like it's just crazy. After that you need the real MVP of the series, Kelsey, who seems pretty straight-faced and is just sort of matter-of-fact about losing an arm and then being back at work 5 days later. So I want Michelle Rodriguez because she is another. She's quite serious, and it's not. Kelsey's not a ridiculous role. She's stupid enough to put her full arm into the tiger cage and get it ripped off by a tiger. But apart from that, she seems like a real voice of reason in the middle of this madcap series. Okay. Then you need Eric Coy, who is just this big guy with a lot of hair and a beard, and he just looks kind of mental. And he is a bit mental, but in a nice way mostly. He's the one, I'm pretty sure, that smoked a cigarette while filling gas cans in a shed or something full of gas cans. He's a bit mental, okay? I think that's the kind of person that you need Chris Hemsworth for. Because after seeing Thor Ragnarok and then especially Endgame with Fat Thor, I really think it's important that he just plays every crazy comedic role he can with the rest of his career, okay? Because he's so goddamn good at it. Joshua Dial is, we're getting far down now. Joshua Dial is the tragic man who sold Joe ammo at a gun counter in Walmart and got made his campaign manager for his presidential run. That's one of the funniest parts of the whole thing. It's wonderful. I think I want Daniel Franzese, is that how you say that? I don't know, to play him. He was Damien in Mean Girls, and that's all I should have to say about that. James Garretson is the grown-up version from the little boy in Shrek 4. I'm sorry, I couldn't help it. And he's just described as a businessman throughout, and he's one of the shadiest characters of all. He was described as having just sold somebody a stolen car at some stage. I can't remember. But he's just shady in general. But he's the guy who turns on them all and turns witness. And yeah, he's that guy, okay? So he's got to be played by Zach Galifianakis. Is that how you say that? I'll never get that right. Alan Glover is the guy that Joe almost pays to murder Carole Baskin, and that's Jonathan Banks. because I'm pretty sure that every role he's ever played is somebody who's willing to murder people. Finally, after all that, we need Don Lewis, Carole's first husband who vanished, and is therefore a pretty small role. But if there was a scene, just a dream sequence or a what-if sequence where she fed him to some tigers while he was covered in sardine oil, then we'd need Bill Murray playing that role. And the guy who was a multi-millionaire but apparently could only read at a first grade level, that's what Carole says. How much of that do we believe? I don't know. But, yeah, that's Bill Murray, please. And I'm done, okay?
I saw a tiger